What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, man, we're going to be going over all the Humvees here in Armory Forger 164th, 18th Airborne Division, Milsim. So we're going to go over all the Humvees, we're going to go over what they look like, the weapons they have, and we're going to test fire each weapon, showcase what it looks like inside, and talk about how many seats it has as well. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. So let's go ahead and take control of this AI real quick. So we're going to start off. We have a bunch of options. I don't know why it spawned me over here, but we'll have a bunch of options. So we're just going to take our time. This might be a long video, so sit back, relax, and enjoy. So the first Humvee we have here is the standard infantry late war troop transport one. We're going to do what we'll do here and make it a little bit easier for y'all. I'm going to show you guys the name before we go into it, so you guys can take a picture if you need to, or a mental note, whatever. So this is classified as the M1114 late war Humvee. This is a 120 supplies based Humvee. It has 4 seats, so you have a driver, passenger, and 2 back seats. So, it says 3, but that says it's saying passenger, so they're counting the driver as not a passenger. So if you're looking at the information, that's why it's saying 3 instead of 4. But this is a 4-seater. So let's hop into it. So inside, which we have to fix this character because I can't turn with this character. So let me despawn him and try it again. There we go. So we're going to hop in. We're going to hop in the back, I guess. But we'll hop in and we'll take a look at here what we got in here as options for driving. So in here we have obviously the 4 seats. You can lock the doors. You can open these doors and all that. You can deploy a smoke. That's what the smoke sounds like when you just deploy it. Deploys it to your front. Sometimes it's a little bit to your front right, depending on where it drops, but that's a feature you can do. You can obviously you have headlights, hazard lights, high beam lights, so you can make super bright lights or regular lights. Also, you have hazard lights as well. You can hear the little clicking sound, and that's pretty much it. That is this vehicle, and we'll move on to the next one. We're gonna drive over there actually because I can't see shit. There's only a handful of Humvees in the game, but the more we go into the Humvees, the more complicated they'll be. Alright, so the next Humvee we're going to look at here is, I believe, the early war version of the same exact vehicle. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's the same exact thing as this one we just went over, but it's just the early version, so it doesn't have all the extra things on it. It doesn't have like smoke pods and all that on it. So this one you don't have any smokes on it. Next one up that we're going to actually go into is the MK19 early war. So there's an early war version and a late war version. I don't know where the late war version is of the MK19. Let me look actually before we go into it because I want to show you guys everything on it. MK19, here it is. So, okay, no, that's a different one. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a different one. No, it's not. I'm right. It's the right one. I'm stupid. So this is the one that we're talking about here, which is the UAH M1114 MK19 late. So we're gonna teleport my dude over here because fuck walking when you are a god. So this Humvee is the same as the other one that we talked about, but this one has 5 seats instead of 4 because you have a driver, passenger, 2 backseat people, as well as a gunner on top. So we're gonna hop in here and take a look inside. Again, very, very similar to all the other Humvees. 120 supplies. You can carry 4 people, 3 people that can hop out. And obviously, if the driver hops out, you have 4. If the driver stays in the vehicle, then you'll have 3 people. Inside, nothing really has changed. All the controls are still the same. We can look back here, hop in the gunner seat. The MK19 has a pretty nice-sized magazine. And if you don't know what MK19 is, it is basically just a grenade launcher. So very, 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 very simple to understand and use. This thing is a little floating. This thing is a little laggy, so I recommend not using this in the regular Milsim. Just because when you shoot this thing, it does spaz out a little bit, make the server have a rough time. So just keep that in mind. Up next, we have the M240 Bravo Humvee. This is going to be also late war. So usually these late wars you can tell by the black fronts or black edging on them. You can see how these doors are like almost inside and carved, while the early war are not carved. So we're only going to be focusing on the late war just for the purpose of this video, just because the late war is going to have more gadgets. So in the early war, you may have less options than the late war version. So it's easier to show you guys the late war versions, and then you would be able to take notice what's missing from the early war. So, same as before, this one has all the same controls. It has the smokes, so we're actually just going to hop right into the gunner. I guess I have to get in the passenger seat. Sometimes it lets you get right into the gunner from the side seat, but I guess not. So this is actually, it's a good thing I took notice of this. So this gunner seat is actually inside. So I didn't take notice of this originally, but if you pay attention, you can actually see which ones are interior. So any of these Humvees, so these two next to me, to my left, are computer generated MGs, so you sit inside. And then you can see down below, the 4 or 5 down there, those are all manned turrets. So basically, when you're in here, all you have to do is hit the aim button. You can turn the illumination on if you need to. This thing has zeroing for 400 or 500 meters, and it just has a 240. Very, very simple, very easy to use. You can shoot it without being in the camera, as you see here. But it's obviously a little bit harder to hit shots, specific targets that you're trying to hit when you're doing this. So if you want to, you can aim. This thing's very, very good for that purpose. And we're going to move on to the next one. I didn't mean to do that. I want to get out of the Humvee. Get out, thank you. So, on to the next Humvee, which is going to be the same thing, but this is going to be a 50 cal version. So we'll hop in the gunner seat, showcase that a little bit. That's what the 50 cal looks like. Here's the in-game sights, or the scope to look through. This thing is pretty accurate for the most part. This only has one zoom, this is for 500 meters. So be of that with what you will. Hopping into the next one. The next one is going to be a Mark 19. I think I have 2 of these sitting here. Yeah, so this one's a little different. This one doesn't have the protection because you're not in the turret. So this is basically the same thing as one with the 2 Mark 19s we just went over, but this one you control from inside inside the actual vehicle. So let's hop into the gunner seat and showcase this. This is the one I used in the one op. I don't know if I showcased this in the video, but the very first op I did with this community, we used the Humvees as a convoy, did like an outpost, and I used the Mark 19, and I just sat in it the entire operation and just mowed everything down. So Mark 19s are very good for holding a location down. All right, now we're on to our new section of vehicles. So we're going to go into Game Master and kind of go over them a little bit. So, the next group of vehicles that we have here, sitting here, are going to be fast response Humvees. These are going to be a little bit higher rank. We don't use these too often in the ops, but these will be used a lot for people who are trying to get to an objective fast, right? These actually don't have 120 supplies. These ones only have 80. These have 5 seats, so you have a driver, you have a passenger, you have 2 backseat passengers, and then you have 2 gunners. So you have a gunner in the backseat and a gunner on the turret. And that's going to be the same for all of these. The only ones that don't are going to be... No, actually all of these do, because these all have 4 seats inside. So, yeah, so you have 2 gunners, and you have 3 people inside and a driver. So that's for all of these. So, very good for if you're trying to get a lot of dudes to an objective. Even if you don't need all the gunners, just toss the dudes on the gunner seats, and then they can just hop out whenever you stop. So, let's get into it. The first one here, we have a 50 caliber with the 240 on the back. Pretty simple. I'm just going to look around and try to get to the back seat. I don't know if I can do it from here. I can. Okay, so this actually has more seats than I initially thought, because for some reason it doesn't state this in the description, but you can have 2 additional people on the back of these. So these few here, let me pull the Game Master, it'll be easier to show you guys. So these 3 right here, I don't know about these. We'll test it when we get to that point. We should have seats there as well. But for a fact, these 3 seem to have a two-seater here and a seat there. So 3 on the back plus the 1 gunner, so 4 in the back, 3 in the front plus the driver, so it's 4 in the front. So that's a ton of options for seats. And then obviously you have the church guy on top, so tons and tons of options for seating. These Humvees are great, and I think that these are honestly like lightly used in comparison to how they should be. I think these should be used more often. I think they're cool. These things are going to be more likely to be targeted by enemy infantry. They're very easy to die in because of the no armor on the sides. But if you're just trying to get back and forth to a point A to point B, these could be very, very good for that cause. So, without further ado, let's keep going. So I'm just going to do this in Game Master for right now. I think it's easier to do it in Game Master because you guys are getting kind of the idea of these guns. So we have, the next one we have is a Mark 19 version. So last one was a 50 cal. This one has the Mark 19 on top, and it has a 240 in the back. Next one up is a minigun, or the M134. So for future reference, anytime I say M134, that is just a minigun. And then we also have the 240 on the back. And the next one up here is the M2HB, which is an enclosed armored version. But instead of having the slick down back like these ones over here, it has a little trunk. I do believe these are seats as well. So you should have the same numbers as these ones over here, which is some armor, which is very, very cool. And this is going to have a 50 cal and a 240. And then we have a Mark 19 version with the M240 in the back. So those are the ones we have there. Next up over here, we have... two late war over here. We have an M240 on top. Late war. This is going to be like a generic Humvee. It's going to have the slick back trunk, which means you only have 3 passengers, a gunner, and a driver. And we also have a 50 cal version as well. And then we have a supply truck / infantry vehicle. This can hold up to 9 people in it, a driver and a passenger. And I believe I want to say it's 4 on each side. I want to say, I might be incorrect about that. Without having people sitting here, I have no idea of counting. But it should be 4 on each side, so that's 8 in the back, 1 passenger, that's 9. So that should be where that 9 is coming from. Because again, they don't count the driver as a passenger, they count him as a driver, and he has a separate number. Next up, we have, again, another version of that one I just went over, but this one's enclosed. And then we have an ammo car, and this also has seats as well, but is mainly for ammo and supplies. So these vehicles you can carry 250, 600, and 600. So use that as you need be. Again, we have one of everything for the regular early war. I think the only one we don't have for early war is a minigun, but we have 240, the 2HB, which is the 50 cal. We have the Mark 19, we have another 240, and another 50. So basically all the same, and yeah, that's pretty much it for the Humvees for the most part. There's a couple odd Humvees that I want to go over real quick. So the next odd Humvee we have is a mine clearer, or called in this game a Spark mine roller. This thing is probably going to be used in Milsim, the Milsim coming up, so you'll see it in videos because they are adding the functionality of having actual IEDs in the game and stuff. But this thing is the same as the other Humvees, has a 50 cal on top, and can hold 3 passengers plus a driver, so 4 with the gunner and driver, you're looking at about 5 people total. And also has the wheeling roller, mine roller in the front. The next Humvee I want to talk about is the Rocket Pod Humvee, which has a passenger and a driver. But if we actually look, really, bro, man, get me out of that trunk, bitch. All right, here we go. Let's go into the targeting real quick and show you guys what this looks like inside. So you can actually get in gunner. So this has a passenger and a driver, and then you can have someone in the gunner. And if I can look at it, thank you. You're basically going to go in here, and you can do it from third person, as you can see, with the 50 cal on top. You see there's a 50 cal right there. But you can also switch ammo types. But these are stingers, so you will need to be able to lock on. Like right now, I can't fire because I am not locking on to anything. But if I scroll down, still can't fire anything. So remember, AIM-92s, you need to have be locked onto another aircraft. It's the only time it'll fire. Now on helis, it will fire without being locked on. But obviously, this thing apparently needs to be locked on, so keep that in mind. And that is that Humvee. And that is from what it looks like to be all the Humvees, we obviously have our generic Humvees that are vanilla, which are the green and green camo ones, and those ones are going to have pretty much the same things, but instead of having 240s or Mark 19s or anything like that, they're just going to be 50 cals. They're not going to be as protected as well. Your very basic Humvees for those. So hope that helps someone. The next video, we're going to be going over all the JLTVs, and then the following video after that, we're going to be going over all of the BTRs and infantry vehicles that we have, like these, and the MRAPs and all that. And then we'll go over tanks, helis, and then we will circle back around and cover anything else that I've missed. The helis ones, I'll probably break those down to doing Little Birds, Blackhawks, Apaches, Cobras, etc. Probably break them down because there's a lot of helis to go through. But yeah, hope this is helpful to some people. The only thing I did not count in here that kind of we probably could argue could classify in the same this video for Humvees is here the M270. That's a missile launcher, but we don't really use that on the Milsim anymore, and it's not really technically a Humvee, it's a tracked vehicle, so we'll probably go over all that in the tank section, which is all tracked vehicles. But yeah, hopefully this is helpful to you guys that are working with Humvees, not sure what to run. This should give you kind of a better idea what Humvees to choose from in the long term. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.